Why is this happening to me? Why is it just me? Is it just me? About 60% of Malaysian youth experience mild to severe depressive symptoms, and 30% of them have moderate to severe anxiety, which is very, very alarming actually. The cost of living is very high now. All of this will drive anxiety and stress. Actions like are you withdrawing socially, procrastinating or avoiding any responsibility. Our usual rate is actually 180 per session for our associates and 50 ringgit for trainees. It can go as low as 5 ringgit.
Oh,
Yep.
your job's a really stressful job or toxic work culture. How does one deal with it when... Hey everyone, welcome back to the A to Z podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that is actually quite close to my heart because over the past 5 years as a freelancer and also now trying to run agency business on my own, burnout, stress, everything is actually part and parcel of the journey. And I actually came across this quite recently. According to the recent data from Malaysian Youth Mental Health Index 2023, about 1 in 3 young adults are experiencing anxiety and also depressive kind of symptoms. So today on our podcast, before we end the year, we have Jane Lim from MMHA to shed more light and discuss about mental health among Malaysian Gen Zs.
Thank you so much for having me, Elton. So, hi, I'm Jane and I'm from Malaysian Mental Health Association. So, MMHA is actually a non-profit NGO and we have been around since 1968. So, it's like a very, very long time already. And we focus on improving mental health for the community. And currently, we have 4 branches across Malaysia. Our headquarters is in KL, TDDI. And then we have one in PJ, Jalan Othman, and then we have another one in Perak, and a newly opened branch in Kedah.
Right.
So, in MMHA, across all these branches, we are providing a lot of services. So, one of it is the psychotherapy and counseling services. So, we have our associate clinical psychologists, we have our registered counselors, we also have our trainees to provide a range of services and also a range of affordable options. So because we are an NGO, right? So one of our biggest commitment is to actually make mental health accessible to everyone. So we do provide subsidies for people who are in need of financial assistance. So only, in 2024, we have already provided about over 60,000 of subsidies for our clients. Yep. So we really want people to know that the cost should never be the reason that they don't want to seek help or they avoid seeing a therapist. So other than that, we also run like different programs, and currently we do run some programs for Gen Zs as well. We have a lot of trainings for corporates. We have been to a lot of universities to do mental health screenings, and also talks, trainings, all these things. Yep. So
Right. And actually, I'm very curious, how did you get into this whole mental health thing in the first place?
yeah. So I started my journey back then when I was in high school. I didn't know what to study, but I feel like I am very interested in human behaviors. So I started with psychology, studying psychology. And then after that, I graduated undergrad. I went to MMHA. Yeah, so I was there for about 2 years-ish as a executive assistant. And after that, I went to study Masters of Clinical Psychology. I just graduated not long ago. So now I joined back MMHA as a center manager, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity because I've always been passionate about making mental health accessible to everyone, and also very passionate about mental health. So I really want to work with someone or also work in an environment that would actually make a big difference.
Right. And actually, so I just realized we are at the front of Gen Zs actually.
Yes.
So Gen Z is around, I think, 97. Depends on how you define it, 97 to about 2008-ish.
Yep.
They still call them Gen Zs, 2010. So we are still at 1999, 98.
Yeah.
So what are the most like prevalent kind of
Mm,
mental health issues that you have seen among Gen Zs, especially those that have entered into the working
mm, mm,
space?
mm. So, I think what you've mentioned just now, the most prevalent, most common mental health issues that we are seeing among Gen Zs are anxiety, depression, and stress as well. So, like you mentioned just now, about 60% of Malaysian youth experience mild to severe depressive symptoms,
Mhm,
and 30% of them have moderate to severe anxiety, which is very, very alarming actually.
mhm,
So, there are also tied with a bigger issues, bigger theme like economic pressure, social media influence, and also the long term impact of the pandemic, right?
mhm,
Because a lot of us, we feel very insecure about our jobs, and the cost of living is very high now, and financial instability. So all of this will drive anxiety and stress. So
mhm,
social media influence, on the other hand, the constant comparison, cyberbullying, all of this can worsen anxiety. And the long term impact of the pandemic. So it had a really, really big impact on us because it's not about illness, it's also about isolation,
mhm,
um, about, disrupted routines,
mhm,
and uncertainty. So this pandemic, right, since 2020 had a profound impact on us because we as Gen Z, we were forced to grow up faster. Like we didn't have the social milestone. We had like
Yeah, for me, my graduation was literally in front of the laptop.
yeah,
Graduated. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
Had zero uni life actually. Had
Yes.
1 year university. I think that is very very common experience
Mm.
among Gen Zs as well, right?
Yeah, and then some of us, we didn't even have like a face-to-face internship. We had to work
Mhm,
from home. So mentorship was very, I would say it's a very important thing for us. But when we didn't get to have that kind of social interaction with people, we were forced to grow up. We were thrown to the real world right after the pandemic.
mhm,
Yeah. So whenever we miss this kind of milestones, right? um the shift of the environment, a lot of us will feel like very stressful. Sometimes we will feel like burnout, very anxious. So therefore, I personally think that the pandemic has a very, very big impact on us. So we had to face the adult challenges very prematurely, and from managing our own mental health and
mhm.
also expectations of our career growth and all these things. Mm.
Would you say a lot of Gen Zs will overcompensate for this?
Mm,
As so, why we do all this? Let's say YOLO and all this kind of terms,
mhm,
or even though let's just go on a holiday. Work can wait, and it's
mhm,
because we didn't have the kind of freedom during our formative years,
mm,
or
mm.
even when we start businesses. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in Gen Zs as well.
Yep.
Uh, is it an overcompensation, or is it something that is
Mm.
just happening because of this pandemic?
It I would say there's a lot of different reasons, but
Mhm,
I would think that that might be one of the reason
mhm,
because that 2 years, 3 years, we were stuck at home. We couldn't do anything. Maybe we
mhm,
had all of our plans planned out. I mean,
mhm.
I had a lot of plans back then, but I couldn't do it at all.
Mhm,
But for me, after pandemic, I just went straight into work.
mhm.
I feel like after that, okay, maybe when I have time, I will do it. But even until now, after the pandemic, I haven't even traveled anywhere. So yeah, some people think that okay, I need to compensate
Mhm.
the 2 years of my freedom.
Lost youth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think everyone is managing it very differently.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And I think just now another thing you mentioned is financial and career pressures.
Mm,
That's something actually I feel personally as well. So recently I got a new property,
mm,
and I also want to go travel and everything. And plus, running a business, there's cost and everything, hiring staff and everything. Not firing, they left. All these things actually does lead to stress and burnout. Personally, for me, that's
mm.
my major cause of that. Uh, but how do you see this affect people of our age, and how do people deal with that?
So I do have some friends, they bought a house, so
Mhm.
they couldn't do other things, like
Yeah.
they couldn't go travel the world, they couldn't do a lot of things. So I think when I was a trainee clinical
Mhm.
psychologist, I see a lot of Gen Zs as well. They face a lot of these issues like the financial instability and all. So this is very real for them because they are entering a workforce at a very difficult time, I would say. High cost of living, and then rising housing costs, uncertainty in career growth as well. So they don't just stay in the bank. They
Mhm.
also translate into anxiety, like you mentioned, the stress, and sometimes it might go into like depressive symptoms and all. So because you are unsure whether you're able to pay rent or you're
Mhm.
able to pay the commitments for your next month's
Yeah.
commitment and all these things, right? So it can have a very profound psychological toll. So what we can do about it is that it, there's a few things to take note of if
Mhm.
you want to see if there's any changes in yourself. Um, there are your behaviors, your thoughts, your emotions, and then your physical symptoms. So all these things, right? You For example, your behavior, are you more socially withdrawn
Yes.
than usual?
I'm putting myself out here, but I think I'm gonna share very
Yeah,
frankly
yeah.
lah. So especially when it's stress and there's other priorities that you have to deal
Mm,
with. I tend to post less on social media.
mm,
Everything is focused around work.
mm,
If unless it's really really close friends,
yeah.
I prioritize relationships as well. So then naturally become more
Mm, mm,
reclusive
mm.
as well. So yeah, that's the main
Yes.
behavior change that
Yeah.
I felt.
So you have to take note of all this, like, because the first thing you have to
Mhm.
do is to identify if there's any changes.
Mhm.
So one thing is actions like, are you withdrawing socially,
Mhm.
procrastinating or avoiding any responsibility. For example, like you mentioned, you have been withdrawn socially for quite some time
Mhm.
and only attend to maybe close friends.
Mhm.
And then also notice your feelings. Are you more anxious? Are you more irritable? Are you feeling more sad than usual? So this is the feelings, emotions part. And your thoughts, just have to you will have to take note of that as well.
Mhm.
Um, Focus on your inner dialogue. Are you more criticize to yourself? Do you think more negatively about yourself, about your work or your future?
Mhm.
Okay. And the last thing is mental health often shows up in your body, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people would have trouble falling asleep. Do you have trouble falling asleep? Do you find it hard to staying asleep? Do you find it very hard? You are constantly waking up in the middle of the night. Yeah. So because all of these things, I would always ask my client, how's your sleep? How's your appetite? And how's your physical health? Like, do you do any exercise? Do you tend to move less than usual? Mm. So how do we, because the first step is to identify, right? So after that, how do we tackle all this? One simple tip is that from the thoughts, you would have to kind of like challenge your thoughts.
Mhm.
You have to ask yourself, maybe you can write it down, challenge them. Maybe you can ask yourself, are the thoughts true? Or I am just making assumptions. So let's say if one of my close friend is experiencing this situation, what would I say to the person? Because oftentimes we will treat our friends, our close friends very well, but for us, we might treat ourselves like, oh, you're so bad and things like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's like a perspective shifting.
Mhm.
So it's like you have to imagine like when your friend is experiencing this, how would you talk to the person? Yeah.
Mm. And I think so that one is a lot of things that we can control
Mm,
to make the first shift. But let's just say the pressures and stress are coming from your work environment.
Mm,
Like
mm,
your job's a really stressful job,
mm,
or you are dealing with, uh, we call it toxic bosses or toxic
mm,
work culture,
mm, mm,
hostile work culture. How does one deal with it when the environment is affected and you can't quit because cost of living is high, you
yes,
need to
yes.
pay the bills, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So, I personally think that, toxic work environment is very common. But, back then my lecturer used to tell us that something that's common doesn't mean that it's normal,
Right.
right? So this issue, I think a lot of Gen Zs are actually experiencing it. Because a lot of us, we value fairness, we value psychological safety. So whenever we encounter all these problems, right, we feel it very deeply, I would say. And sometimes some people, they might internalize it. Maybe this is my fault. Why is this happening to me? Why is it just me? Is it just me? So long term, um, if you see it long term, right, it can make someone feel very worthless, and also they might feel themselves like very helpless and isolated. And I would say that I've experienced this myself. So I remember thinking, am I the problem?
Mhm.
Why is it just me? Everyone else seems fine. Is it just me? So I kept on ruminating. And then I've made a lot of assumptions, and then the assumptions would feed into my negative thoughts. So it became like a vicious cycle, right? So I would think that it is my fault. I'm weak. That's why people are doing this to me. And then I feel anxious, frustrated, and then I withdraw from social activities, second guessing myself, all these things. So my thoughts drove my feelings, and then which influenced my behavior, and then it would reinforce my negative thoughts. So one simple tips is also to, whenever you have that thought, maybe this is my problem. Again, the same thing. Um, Write them down, challenge them. Is this actually true? Or you're just making assumptions, right? So also if your friend is experiencing this, how would you talk to the person? So this is the thoughts part. And then behavior part, there's a lot of things that a person can do. Let's say you are very stressed out at your workplace. It depends lah. Like some of the people, their work environment is 9 to 5 in front of the computer. I would always tell my client, sometimes you just have to distract yourself, or more like you have to pull yourself away from that environment and take some time for yourself. So some of my clients, they think that taking walks in between, because you don't have
Disconnect.
to, yeah, to disconnect, because you don't have to be on the desk for 9 to 5, right? So to disconnect, um because it can be as fast as 5 minutes only. And the 5 minutes won't really interrupt your job. So some of them would do that, or some of them would, there's different ways to ground yourself. There's one of the technique that I really, really like, is called guided imagery relaxation. So it's to help you to relax. You can find it on YouTube. There's a lot of videos that, because it's guided, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, got
that's
it.
like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes version. So you can pick and choose whenever that you feel that, or you really need some time for yourself.
Mhm.
And then some of them, 10 minutes one, it's very, very helpful, because you can do it in between maybe lunch hour
Mhm.
to actually ground yourself down. Yeah. So let's say toxic work environment, right? When you are being um accused, or when you are being scolded, then you will feel very heated.
Mhm.
And then sometimes we might be saying things that we don't really mean to.
Mhm.
So another way to ground yourself down, another technique is called 5 4 3 2 1. Have you heard it before?
No.
Okay. It's actually, there's Disney cartoon movie about emotions. what is it
Inside
called?
Out.
Yes, Inside Out 2.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
actually in that movie, but
Oh,
they didn't really verbalize out.
okay.
They make it visualize instead. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's by using your senses, five senses to ground yourself down. So five is you can name five things that you can see. Yeah. So, for example, in front of me is a mic, an iPad, the light, and you, and all these things lah. So four things you can touch, because you have to use your hand to touch lah. Like your actually my shirt and my top and my bottom are different textures, right? So it's also a way to help yourself to ground. And then maybe three things you can hear: the aircon, my voice, yeah, all these things.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So 2 and 1, I normally play around, because it's either two things you can taste or you can smell. So it depends that when you're eating, maybe you have more things that you can taste. And then smell, for example, maybe I'm smelling the aircon. Yeah. So by doing this is to ground yourself down, to pull yourself back to the present. Mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's very good. I never thought about that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
actually in the movie.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should go watch it back again. And I just want to challenge just one last thing.
Mm,
So not all jobs are equal,
mm,
right? Some jobs, maybe let's say, accountants, auditors, doctors, lawyers,
mm,
especially professional jobs,
mm,
their stress level is way more than a 9 to 5, or even, entrepreneurs sometimes.
mm,
How can they deal with it when they are dealing with life and death, or, very tight deadline where people's livelihoods are at stake?
mm. So, um, whenever you have tight deadlines, right? I think sometimes for me, I would feel very stressed out, and then I can't even think of it, and then I will procrastinate.
Makes it worse.
Yeah. So, the reason why I'm procrastinating, so everything you do, there's a reason.
Mhm,
When I'm procrastinating, I am actually avoiding something that's unknown, because I'm not sure whether I'm able to finish the job. I'm not sure if I'm able to um, finish it flawlessly. Let's say if I'm a perfectionist lah.
mhm,
So therefore, I'm procrastinating. So there's always a reason why a person do something, right? So that's when you have to understand, okay, so if I don't do it, if I don't actually open it, then I wouldn't know whether I'm able to do it or not. So one way to do it is it could be, scheduling. Scheduling, it's actually very effective for a lot of my clients, a lot of the people out there. Let's say you have deadline coming up. So the scheduling that I'm mentioning, it's actually something that's very detailed.
mhm,
Just it was just yesterday, I was just doing that with my client, and she was telling me that, oh, I've been doing this, but the scheduling some of the people have been doing is like, okay, I will do this tomorrow, okay, I will do this
mhm,
on Thursday, things like that. But to be as detailed as possible is that, okay, I want to do part A, 70% of the part A today, and I want to do it at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
mhm,
And then when you're doing the scheduling, break into small parts, and then you would also have to think of, will there be any obstacles that you will encounter,
mhm,
right? So for example, the easiest example, let's say you're scheduling, okay, I want to take a walk tomorrow,
mhm,
but it has been raining a lot recently, right? So one of the obstacle that you have to address is that, what if it rains? So same thing goes to doing work, right? So let's say
I
you,
think the most common one is, let me just put this a scenario,
yep,
right? So I'm doing this work, I scheduled something at this 2 hours,
mm,
and then a client come and say, can you do this now?
mm,
I think that's very common with, or anything that is, I need it right now,
yep.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's a very good example. I think whenever you are scheduling this kind of things, right, you have to kind of like predict and also address what would the obstacle that you would encounter.
Mhm,
So let's say if this happens, um some of my clients, so I'm just throwing out examples for
Yeah,
my
yeah.
clients lah. Some of my clients, they came up with an idea. So because my role is not to suggest what you can do,
Mhm,
my role is to facilitate you to make an informed decision and facilitate you to throughout this journey lah, grow
mhm,
throughout this journey. So I'm very happy to see some of my clients, they're able to, throw out ideas and
mhm,
things like that. So one of my clients, they said that oh, so if this happens, what I can do is, okay, let's say I have scheduled 3 to 5 to do these things. So let's say one of the customer, like I just
mhm, yeah, whatever.
customer throw something out, I want it now. Then they would allocate like about the client told me they will allocate about 30 to 40% of time to finish off this thing.
Mhm,
And then the remaining time you'll continue the work. So if it's needed, we'll extend the time. So the goal of scheduling is to be flexible and to understand your own limitations and also understand that or what kind of obstacle that you would encounter and how would you address it.
mm.
Mm,
So I think that the main takeaway here is that you plan the obstacles into it. So even though
yes.
it comes,
Mm,
you are prepared. And if it's not, then you have a bit of extra time for yourself
yep.
anyways, right?
Mm.
Okay, and then I think moving on, another thing that we deal with a lot is social media, right?
Yes.
So talking about workplace and everything, then we look on social media. Our friends don't even work one. Why this one every day traveling here and there, this one at some cafe doing, and then
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we tend to compare.
Mm,
But I think it's like even for me, social media I only show the best parts. When I travel, I take I don't take videos of me
mm,
doing work and kind of thing. So how can one deal with this kind of social media influence
mm, mm,
and
mm, mm.
what's the steps to take?
Yep. So I would say social media is a very powerful tools, but it's also a double-edged sword. So yes, I have met a lot of young employees constantly checking, not just Instagram, LinkedIn as well.
Ah,
Yeah. So they will say, oh my God, my peer has already became a manager, but I'm still like level one stuff,
right.
and or Instagram, or the person is traveling around the world. The person is buying houses
Mm,
already, but I don't even have a car.
mm,
Kind of, this kind of social media comparison. So when we fall into the trap, right, it can also worsen our anxiety.
mhm,
Sometimes it might also worsen our depressive feelings.
mhm,
Um, I think a lot of people, when they constantly compare themselves, right, they can't really see the other side of the things.
mhm.
Like you mentioned just now, like you only share things that are good on
Yeah.
social media. So one thing is also, my role is also to help them to widen their perspective.
Mhm,
So what you're saying is this side. So how about the other side? The other side you can't really see, right? So I would always help to widen their perspective. Okay, you can see the person is traveling, you can see the person
mhm,
is buying houses, but um mm, they might have some struggles. Like you wouldn't know, they might have some struggles, or they might be living happily, but you wouldn't know. So instead of like assuming what is this person's life like,
mhm,
um you can also, okay, see this person is traveling, okay, I take note of that.
mhm,
I have a step back, and I also think of myself, because whenever people think of themselves, they might just see the other side of
yeah.
it. They don't really see the good side of it.
Mhm,
So it was also just yesterday, I was doing this activity with my client. So um we are doing a worksheet. So it's like she is talking about one situation and she has some negative thoughts, and then we were listing down on what are the facts that is actually supporting your negative thoughts.
mm,
Okay, this is so easy for her, right?
mhm,
Because she has been thinking that way. But at the same time, after that, I asked her to list down what are the evidence that are not supporting your negative thought. So uh this is how she kind of stunned. She was like, no, I don't think there's anything that doesn't support my negative thought.
mhm,
But when I try to help her to widen her perspective, and then only she realized, oh, it's actually I I am actually very strong. So her negative thought is that I'm weak. So I'm actually very strong. Although I am experiencing all these things, but I am still functioning. I'm still taking care of my family.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's to help them to widen perspective, to let them understand, or there are also a lot of good things that are happening in their lives. Yeah.
I think another thing is to don't compare to others, just compare to yourself. Like last year and this year,
Yeah.
so much has changed. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
you've done so much more than you did last year. And I think about social media, we always talk about this dopamine hit and everything. They want to clear off social media, you want to do that dopamine detox kind of thing. But I think in this day and age, we don't really have the luxury of completely disconnecting,
Yep.
right? And how can someone actually go about having the right amount of social life, being updated yet not bombarding yourself with all this stimulus?
Okay. I think that's a very good question because we can't separate ourselves with social media, right? And I think now it's because when I mentioned just now, social media is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
So we can also leverage social media for good, right?
Right.
There's a lot of things that we can do, like Elton yourself, you are also, using the platform to advocate for mental health for Gen Zs. So there's the part that you can leverage social media for good. But like you mentioned, detox to set digital boundaries. Um, Another story of my client again. So it's also very important to consider your own needs and also the demands of your work environment as well.
Right.
Yep. So some jobs or some environment naturally require higher digital exposure. So whenever you set this kind of boundaries, you have to understand your own needs. So my client they worked in digital marketing industry. So naturally, they require, higher digital exposure, right? So there was one day that this client told me, okay, I want to have a social media detox. I don't want to, after work, I don't want to touch my phone. But then because she's in digital marketing industry, right? So there's a lot of ad hoc work even after working hours.
Yeah.
So when she tried to do this, it backfired because she couldn't sleep at night. She was constantly thinking, "Oh my God, did I miss this message? Ah, should I open my phone? Should I open my phone?" So the whole night she couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So this story is to help us to understand that there's no one size fits all. You have to understand your own needs. Consider your background, working environment. Does it require you to be constantly exposed to social media or digital life? And I would say whenever you want to do that, you can do that, but you have to take it one step at a time, baby steps, and to slowly understand where is actually your limits, where is actually your optimal time for social media. Yeah.
I think with all this that you mentioned, you have a lot of clients that's working under you. And for us, I know mental health is not a stigma anymore, but sometimes we just don't know where to go. And I think there's that misconception, like you said earlier, mental health services are expensive. We think about it, every session is about at least 100 to 200.
Yep.
With living costs already there, how can we get this kind of help?
Yeah. So I would say that mental health services for in Malaysia, it's improving already. There's actually a lot of public sectors are giving free mental health services, but sometimes for them it's a bit the waiting list is longer. But if you think that you are able to wait, then I think public sectors are one of the best choice, I would say. And for some NGOs or some affordable community service provider, like MMHA, we are a non-profit NGO, so we do provide subsidies. Some other organizations out there, I do believe they also provide subsidies. So we would consider a lot of things, like when you apply for subsidies, you can just let us know what's the reason, and we will approve accordingly. So
Mm.
our subsidies, like I mentioned just now, last year alone we have already provided over 60,000 of subsidies for students, young adults, single mothers, vulnerable populations.
Mhm.
So it can go as low as 5 ringgit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Our usual rate is actually 180 per session for our
uh-huh.
associates and 50 ringgit for trainees. So whenever you apply for subsidy, then we will look through your application, and some of them can go as low as 5 ringgit, 10 ringgit, yeah, and so on and
Mm.
so forth.
So it would depends on how at risk you are,
Mm.
how your socioeconomic
Yep.
status and all those kind of things.
Yep. Yep.
Right, right.
Yeah. So they would need to submit their um supporting documents lah for us to review. Yep. So I think a lot of the organizations and community service, I think churches as well,
Mhm.
they do provide churches and then temples, they do provide free mental health services. And I think a lot of people don't really know this, but private unis, like my uni back then, I studied in IMU.
Mhm.
IMU provide free therapy services for trainees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think a lot of private unis like Monash, Taylor's, and some other unis, they do provide like affordable therapy services, but it is provided by a trainee. But normally trainee will be supervised by a supervisor. Yeah. So if the public doesn't mind, then they can go find public unis trainees because it's very affordable over there.
So,
Mm.
what you guys do if let's say we reach out to you
Mm.
and we say, "Oh, I need this help," you'll be able to direct us in whichever that suits our needs and at that moment of time.
Yep. So we would consider the risk, and we would consider the uh your how much you can afford.
Mhm.
And some people will also let us know, or they want to see a trainee, or they want to see an associate. And some people would also say, I want to see a couple therapist. So we do have couple therapists and family therapists as well. So we would have that like pre-screening
Mhm.
with the clients, like what are your needs, and then we would assign a suitable therapist for them lah.
Mhm.
Mm.
I just want to add one question.
Yep.
Is looking for therapy means something is wrong?
I think there is this stigma around oh, you're seeing a therapist, are you okay?
Mm.
But actually you don't have to be not okay, then only you can see a therapist. We have therapists who can give you help you to do like career development, and then also your future plannings, all these things. There are people who see a therapist for that. And um if you feel like, oh, today I feel like I need to talk to someone, it doesn't mean that it's you're weak or something else, right? So whenever you feel like there's a need to see a therapist and you actually took the step to see a therapist, I would say, in contrast, the person is actually very brave to be able to take that first step, although there's a stigma around it,
Mm.
around them, that say, oh, seeing a therapist meaning that you're weak.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, and I just want to add one more thing. So,
Mm.
if let's say people around you, you realize just how you mentioned behaviors and
Yep.
all those feelings. If you feel like someone around you is acting differently, how can you actually be of help to them?
Mm. So, it sounds like I'm selling a program now, but actually, there's one training in MMHA. It's called Mental Health First Aid. It's actually to learn to pick up signs and symptoms of like depression, anxiety, all these things, all the mental health issues, and also to learn how to bridge the gap between them and the professional services. So how to approach them, I think you have to listen non-judgmentally, and then also you need to divert them to a professional help. So I think what you can do is either provide them a helpline, listen non-judgmentally, or if you have any contacts on your hand for NGOs, for mental health services, you can also direct them to find support over there. And social support is actually very important for a person. If the person's social support, the system is strong, then at least the person have someone to talk
Yeah.
to. Yeah. So I think the one thing that's very important is to listen to them non-judgmentally.
All right. Thanks so much for that. What is just one final advice you could give,
Yeah.
Gen Z's listening to this?
I think as a Gen Z, we've been receiving a lot of labels, like people have been labeling us, "Oh, you're weak, you're sensitive."
Strawberry.
Yes, strawberry. And there's also stigma around seeking help, but I would say that um it's an ability, it's also a skill for you to be able to vocalize your own needs, vocalize your own um uh whenever you need a mental health support. I think that's a very brave of you all, and I'm really grateful that I'm in this generation,
Mhm.
that there's a lot of platform out there for us to um, advocate for mental health. It was just yesterday that I was talking to my friend about advocating mental health on um, social media, because
Right.
we've been noticing that a lot of people that is actually advocating for mental health on social media. So um yeah, I think we have to keep going and leverage social media for good. Like, keep going, whatever that you're doing right now, you're doing very great. And I hope that all of us, we are brave enough and also able to break the stigma around our environment. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Jane. And so, if you have any questions, do feel free to put in the comments down below. We'll try to answer them as much as we can. And if you'd like to contact them directly, their contact information is in the description down below. So do reach out to them if you have any, mental health needs. As they say, even though you have, you're dealing with something, you're not dealing with anything, you can reach out to them too as well. All right. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next
Thank
episode.
you.
Thank you.